great to meet you.
1, 2, ram!
This week on At the Movies, the Academy Awards are just around the corner.
Are you nervous? What?
I can fight you.
You will lose.
And on this special program, we tell you who would take home Oscars if we picked the winners.
And here we go.
Give you our picks for who would be victorious if we picked the winners on Oscar night. Plus, we'll tell you which movies and performances were unfairly overlooked. I'm Ben Lyons from E! Entertainment.
And I'm Ben Mankiewicz from Turner Classic Movies. Let's jump right in with Best Supporting Actress, a category that features 1 Oscar winner, 2 past nominees, and 2 newcomers. This year's nominees are Amy Adams as a naive nun in Doubt, Pelelope Cruz as a jealous ex-wife in Vicky Cristina Barcelona, Viola Davis as a mother who wants to protect her son in Doubt, Taraji P. Henson as the courageous guardian of a very unique boy in The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, and Marissa Tomei as a stripper who falls for a broken man in The Wrestler.
My pick this year is Pelelope Cruz for her work as Maria Elena in Woody Allen's Vicky Cristina Barcelona. Now, her fiery approach to her relationships and to life just grab hold of you, just as it does to Javier Bardem's character, her on-again, off-again flame.
I wanted to know who was really sharing the bed of my ex-husband.
What?
Who knew what I would find there? How could I be sure you were not going to hurt me? After all, I had thoughts of killing you.
Maria Elena knows what she wants, and Cruz really does bring out the best in her co-stars. Doesn't matter the language, Pelelope Cruz is one of the best working actresses in the business, and she deserves to be acknowledged for her work. So my pick this year for Best Supporting Actress is Pelelope Cruz, and I believe the Academy will select her as well.
Best Supporting Actress for me, Ben, comes down to 2 performers. Marissa Tomei is the reluctant object of Mickey Rourke's affections, a stripper named Cassidy in The Wrestler. Strippers on screen are often tired cliches, glamorous, spunky, hard, or, of course, a stripper with a heart of gold. But Tomei is complicated, frustrating, and tender all at once.
I'm here. I'm really here. What do you call that?
Just a great performance. So in the end, my pick is Marissa Tomei. However, I also loved Pelelope Cruz in Vicky Cristina Barcelona. But I agree with Ben that the Academy will give this award to Pelelope Cruz.
And here she is. She's been nominated before. She hasn't won. I feel like Woody Allen directs women better than anybody. He really brings out a new side of them. And here she is being funny, sexy, strong, determined. And she really adds a lot of electricity to the film. About 40 minutes into it, it kind of takes it to another place. And I think that's the definition of a great supporting performance.
Yeah, I'm so happy to see Marissa Tomei nominated for a dramatic performance. Really validates her as an actress. I think she's been really unfairly maligned, Ben, for winning that Oscar for My Cousin Vinny. Many people thinking she didn't deserve it. I think that's crazy. She was wonderful in My Cousin Vinny. I'd like to see the Academy have more nominees from comedies. But this here sort of solidifies her standing as a serious actress.
Yeah, it's just a great year in the supporting actress category. Both the performances from Doubt, of course, and you're picking Tomei, I'm picking Cruz, and Taraji Henson could end up winning the award for Benjamin Button. So a really strong year, but I think for me, Cruz, the way she was able to sort of change the pace and the feel of that movie and just really kind of show an entirely new side of her is why I'm going to pick her this year. Moving on now to Best Supporting Actor. The nominees are Josh Brolin as a troubled politician in Milk, Robert Downey Jr. as a method actor who takes his work too seriously in Tropic Thunder, Philip Seymour Hoffman as a priest under suspicion in Doubt, Heath Ledger as the maniacal Joker in The Dark Knight, and Michael Shannon as a mentally ill neighbor in Revolutionary Road.
One sportsbook taking Oscar bets has Heath Ledger at 1 to 20. That means to win $1, you have to wager 20. That, Ben, is what we call a favorite. But in this particular case, for this particular role, I actually think there are more deserving performances. My pick is Josh Brolin as San Francisco supervisor Dan White, Harvey Milk's murderer in Milk.
You're not like most homosexuals, are you?
Do you know a lot of homosexuals, Dan?
You have an issue.
It's more than an issue. This is our lives we're fighting for.
Brolin with No Country for Old Men, W, and Milk is on a heck of a roll. And that character left me wanting to see an entire movie told from Dan White's perspective. So my pick would be Brolin, but this award will definitely go to Ledger, and it will be overwhelming.
I appreciate when the Academy honors comedic performances because it doesn't happen too often. But the Academy did get it right with nominating Robert Downey Jr. for his daringly hilarious performance in Tropic Thunder. That said, it's without question Heath Ledger deserves to win for playing the Joker in The Dark Knight.
We're tonight's entertainment.
Well, hello, beautiful. You look nervous.
Like previous Oscar-winning villains Anthony Hopkins in The Silence of the Lambs and Javier Bardem from last year's No Country for Old Men, you feel Ledger's presence in the film even when he's not on screen. Each and every moment that he's in the movie gradually builds to a terrifying portrayal of controlled insanity. He had a new depth to a character we've seen before, but never like this. My pick for Best Supporting Actor this year is Heath Ledger, and I think the Academy will agree with me.
Yeah, you know, Ben, I don't want to take anything away from Heath Ledger, who was clearly among the best actors of his generation, but I actually don't think that this is the performance he ought to be remembered for. I look at Brokeback Mountain or A Monster's Ball as sort of vintage Heath Ledger performances. Here, sort of playing the Joker was almost, to me, a one-note performance. Once you learned how to sort of be maniacal, I think it's an easier role to play.
I think he's anything but one note. I think he's humorous, he's physical, he's obviously terrifying. Director Christopher Nolan, throughout the production, had to continuously remind him that this was a PG-13 movie, that he was going into an R space, and he needed to sort of tone back, and that's why he's really pushing it to the limit. But your choice, Josh Brolin, is also a worthy choice. Any other year, I would say that he's deserving of the award, but I really just think that it's the culmination of his life and career, and this performance was so scrutinized and was so anticipated, and he really delivered.
Ultimately, I just thought there was more complexity in Brolin's role, but no question, Heath Ledger is going to win. Coming up next, Meryl Streep, Angelina Jolie, and Kate Winslet, some of the biggest names in Hollywood, are up for Best Actress. We'll tell you who would take home the Oscars if we pick the winners. On this special edition of At the Movies, Ben and I are telling you who would go home with the gold if we picked the winners at this year's Academy Awards. Next up, Best Actress. And the nominees are Anne Hathaway as a troubled girl who comes home in Rachel Getting Married.
You have no idea what to do with me unless I'm in crisis.
Angelina Jolie as a frantic mother searching for her missing son in Changeling.
I'm not your mother!
Melissa Leo as a single mother lured into border smuggling in Frozen River.
I didn't know any other way to keep us together.
Meryl Streep as a nun who confronts a priest in doubt.
But I have my certainty.
And Kate Winslet as a Nazi who has a forbidden affair in The Reader.
I'd rather listen to you.
You know, I was surprised to see Kate Winslet be nominated at the Critics' Choice Awards, the Golden Globes, and the SAGs for her work in The Reader. As a supporting actress, there's nothing supporting about her performance as Hannah Schmitz, the sexually charged German woman with a dark secret from her past. For the Oscars, Winslet got nominated for the right role in the right category.
Did you not realize that you were sending these women to their deaths?
Yes, but there were new arrivals. New women were arriving all the time, so the old ones had to make room for the new ones.
This marks the English actress's 6th nomination, and thanks to Anne Hathaway's coming out party as a serious actress and the consummate screen legend that is Meryl Streep, this is not a lock this year for Winslet, but I think it will be her year. My pick this year is Kate Winslet, and she will go home with the Oscar on February 22nd.
Picking against Meryl Streep, Ben, is like picking somebody other than Babe Ruth as the best ball player of all time. But there's a new babe in town, and her name is Kate Winslet. Winslet plays a Nazi guard without a hint of self-awareness. She seduces a 15-year-old boy in The Reader, yet somehow we still feel compassion for her. It's a real testament to Winslet's enormous talent.
It doesn't matter what I feel. It doesn't matter what I think. The dead are still dead.
As Ben said, the Academy got this right. This is a leading role for Winslet, and her nomination should be for this performance, not the self-important Revolutionary Road for which she won the Golden Globe in this category. If I picked the winner, it would go to Winslet for The Reader, and I believe she will win this Oscar.
You know, so much was made about the way that Cate Blanchett aged in The Curious Case of Benjamin Button and Taraji P. Henson, even Josh Brolin in W, but I think Kate Winslet ages probably the most convincingly. I mean, she really grows into this character over the years and able to internalize a lot of the character's pain and conflict over certain moral issues in her life, and just a tremendous performance from one of the best actresses we've seen in this generation or any other, and this will be her 6th nomination, and finally she's going to get a win.
You know, I thought that I was alone these last couple of years because I think Kate Winslet is the best working actor or actress in the business. But why I think she's going to win is that it turns out everyone thinks this. I was hardly alone, and I think there is this general consensus that it's crazy that Kate Winslet doesn't have an Oscar, and that's why I think she'll get it, even though these are other really terrific performances she's up against. Melissa Leo in Frozen River, a really sort of stripped-down movie, but I think a terrific story, and I think it's great to see her nominated.
Next, we'll make our picks for Best Actor. Sean Penn and Mickey Rourke are clearly the frontrunners, but can Brad Pitt pull off an upset?
I want to remember us just as we are now.
We're going through the major categories at this year's Academy Awards and telling you who would take home the Oscars if we pick the winners. Next up is Best Actor, which is a particularly difficult category to pick because of the 5 stellar performances. And the nominees are Richard Jenkins as a man who finds a young immigrant couple living in his apartment in The Visitor.
Tarek is teaching me the drum.
How's that going?
I sound a lot better when he's playing with me.
Frank Langella as the controversial 37th president in Frost Nixon.
I didn't want to take any questions on Watergate.
Sean Penn is the first openly gay elected politician in Milk. Brad Pitt as a man who ages in reverse in The Curious Case of Benjamin Button.
They said I was gonna die soon, but maybe not.
And Mickey Rourke as a broken-down grappler in The Wrestler.
Bring it. You know, with a little luck, this could be my ticket back on top.
For me, the choice for Best Actor is the toughest. Again, it comes down to 2 contenders, Mickey Rourke and Richard Jenkins, whose nomination came as a surprise to many for his wonderful performance in The Visitor. But I'm going with Mickey Rourke.
The only one who's going to tell me when I'm through doing my thing is you people here.
From start to finish, there's not a false note in Rourke's performance as a fading wrestling star 20 years removed from his glory days. The performance is raw, emotionally complicated, and heartbreaking without an ounce of melodrama. So my pick is Mickey Rourke. But both Rourke and Jenkins will lose to Sean Penn, who after a win at the SAG Awards has the momentum for his performance in Milk. I think that's the winner.
Mank, I'm also going to pick Mickey Rourke for his work in The Wrestler. It's amazing how much of Rourke's own self and his own life shines through the character, but never once consumes the performance. His own comeback is embodied in Randy the Ram Robinson.
I'm an old, broken-down piece of meat, and I deserve to be all alone. I just don't want you to hate me.
A complete and truly remarkable performance, balancing hope and regret. Every time we think he's turned the corner and is heading towards a better life, he's knocked back down again by his own self-destruction and the world's indifference. My pick is Mickey Rourke. However, when actors win SAG Awards for playing real-life people, think Charlize Theron, Jamie Foxx, and Reese Witherspoon in recent years, they usually go on to win at the Oscars. So this year, expect the pattern to continue as Sean Penn will win for his brilliant portrayal of Harvey Milk.
Yeah, well, we both agree that Sean Penn will win, and no question, it's a worthy performance. I just think there was something incredibly memorable about Mickey Rourke's role in The Wrestler. A very tough year because, as I mentioned, I also think you could make a very easy argument for giving it to Frank Langella or, as I said, Richard Jenkins, who I thought was just outstanding.
Both these actors, both Sean Penn and Mickey Rourke, are coming from different places when taking on their roles, but there's something inherently beautiful about creating a character from scratch, and that's what Mickey Rourke's able to do here. This is a guy who's had so many ups and downs in his own life and is able to sort of embody all of them in this character. It's the right role at the right time for Rourke. I know there was rumors of Nicolas Cage playing this part and studios wanted that. I'm so happy that Aronofsky fought for Mickey Rourke and the director had his vision seen all the way through.
You know, I brought up Jenkins, but as I was watching Jenkins on a late-night talk show and the host asked him about his chances, he correctly assessed, oh, please, I have no chance at all. Coming up next, we'll give you our picks for the granddaddy of them all, Best Picture.
Join us on Monday, February 16th for our first web chat. It's all about the Oscars. Submit your questions ahead of time or log in on Monday, February 16th at 4 p.m. Eastern. Details on atthemoviestv.com. Now it's time for Mank and I to give our picks for who should take home the award for Best Picture at this year's Academy Awards. The nominees are David Fincher's The Curious Case of Benjamin Button.
I was thinking how nothing lasts. What a shame that is.
Ron Howard's Frost Nixon.
Power and glory.
Why didn't you burn the tapes?
Gus Van Sant's Milk.
Without hope, life is not worth living.
Stephen Daldry's The Reader.
I can't live without you. Even the thought of it kills me. Do you love me?
and Danny Boyle's Slumdog Millionaire.
We went on the show because I thought she'd be watching. She's my destiny.
Of the nominees, I think the choice is clear. Ron Howard's Frost Nixon takes a play, which was essentially just a series of conversations between two men, and turns it into a compelling, emotionally textured drama.
I will ruin you if it takes the rest of my life.
What have I done?
If in this interview Nixon exonerates himself, that would be the worst crime of all.
3, 2, cue David.
Frost Nixon is the year's real achievement in filmmaking, and it's my pick for Best Picture. That said, Slumdog Millionaire, an inventive, joyous film that has quickly moved from unsung to overrated, still good, mind you, but overrated, will win the Oscar.
To those that are regular viewers of this show, it should be no surprise that The Curious Case of Benjamin Button is my pick for Best Picture. Masterfully crafted by visionary director David Fincher, this is an epic achievement with its own style and tone that's deeply absorbing from the very beginning.
Always had a healthy curiosity. What was up the street? Or around the next corner?
Benjamin, that is dangerous.
Nominated for 13 Oscars this year, the simple premise of a man aging backwards sets the stage for a romantic and technically astounding piece of cinema. So that's why I'm picking The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. Now, because I have a soul and a heartbeat, I don't agree with Mank that Slumdog Millionaire was overrated. He's nuts. I do agree with him, though, that Danny Boyle's creative and inspired award show season favorite will win the big one come Oscar Sunday.
Ben, regarding Benjamin Button, it's a movie that I am actually finding myself liking less and less the further I get away from it. I'm starting to see it more now as technically astounding, no question, which you mentioned, but I see it as a gimmick well executed, but not much more than that gimmick.
So you kind of just brush off technically astounding. I think that needs to be appreciated, and it was a premise, not a gimmick, and I kind of fell in love with the characters. Now let's get to Frost Nixon, a movie I love, not as much as you did, but for me it wasn't a Best Picture because it felt a little introverted and a little small for my liking. But again, a really powerfully acted film with two great performances from Michael Sheen, who's been nowhere this award show season. He came out and got a standing O basically.
So underappreciated.
So underappreciated.
Well, I mean, I love a small movie, and no question, Benjamin Button, a bigger movie than Frost Nixon, but I thought Ron Howard, and why he deserves the Best Director Oscar, I think, is that he takes this incredibly small movie, this series of conversations, as I said, but manages to turn it into a fully cinematic experience. I think that's the real achievement in filmmaking this year. I think it should win, and I think Ron Howard should win.
You really think Slumdog's overrated? Really?
I do. So we've just given our picks on this year's nominees, but next we'll tell you who was left out and why I think the best movie of the year wasn't even nominated.
Closed captioning for At the Movies is sponsored by Hotel provided by Park Hyatt Chicago. Chicago's award-winning hotel and luxury dining experience, located in the heart of Chicago's Magnificent Mile on Water Tower Square.
All right, so we just told you who we would give Oscars to, but now we want to tell you who should have been nominated but wasn't. Ben, I've already made this very clear on this show a number of times. The Wrestler should have been nominated for Best Picture. I think it was the best picture of the year. It at least is worthy of a nomination. Darren Aronofsky, too. His work somewhat reflected in the nominations for Mickey Rourke and Marissa Tomei, but to steal from Billy Crystal, the movie did not direct itself. Bruce Springsteen, the song, The Wrestler, which is so relevant to the movie, it is a crime and injustice that that song was not nominated for Best Song. But I also want to throw in Ralph Fiennes from The Duchess in a supporting role. I really thought he was wonderful, stole the movie, shows off his considerable talent. It's a good movie, but he gave a great performance in it.
I agree with you. He did give a great performance. I don't know if it's worthy of a nomination, because I think I would go with James Franco in Milk. It's a huge ensemble cast. Yeah. I know Sean Penn was nominated and Josh Brolin was nominated, but James Franco, a young actor, like Anne Hathaway, coming into his own this year in more serious work, and I just thought he really, really held his own with Sean Penn, and just a great performance. And as far as The Wrestler goes, you're absolutely right. This is a film that deserves a nomination for the director, Darren Aronofsky, but he wasn't the only director who was left off the list. When you have a movie that's nominated 8 times for everything from cinematography, editing, I'm talking, of course, about The Dark Knight, then the director is responsible for that. How Christopher Nolan could not be nominated nominated is also an injustice to me. I mean, here's a guy who put together this event movie, raised the bar of comic book films. The entire genre is in a whole new place thanks to him and his entire team, and all these nominations, but none for the director. It makes no sense.
You know, I didn't like The Dark Knight as much as you did, but you make a very compelling case for Christopher Nolan.
Thank you, Mankiewicz. All right, that's it for now. Remember, we're always online on atthemoviestv.com.
Next week, we'll be back with reviews of new releases, and until then, we'll be at the movies.
The rhinovirus, a leading cause of the common cold. Why just cover up the symptoms of your cold when you can get over your cold faster with Zicam?
My Bliss? Blistex Complete Moisture. A rush of moisture lips can feel. And it feels great. Discover Bliss. Discover Blistex.
Your pets need year-round protection, plus medications for cold weather joint pain. Fortunately, they cost a lot less at 1-800-PET-MEDS. Call now or order online.
The rhinovirus, a leading cause of the common cold. Why just cover up the symptoms of your cold when you can get over your cold faster with Zicam?